You are tapped in with Caden. Proof Katie Taylor's headbutts are intentional and protected by the officials. So, as you know, there was the controversy with Katie Taylor leading with her head, the damage she caused to Amanda Serrano that wasn't done by punches but by her head. And so, people who called it out were called haters, or told that they were making excuses, et cetera, et cetera. So, I decided to take a deeper plunge into this, and you're going to see now. Here is Katie Taylor. And let's read the caption here. It says, Katie Taylor, and you can see who posted this. You can see the family. You can see everything because people want to make it about more than what it is, which is objective observers noting that Katie Taylor uses her head a lot and no one calls her out for it. And also noting the fact that Katie Taylor always gets the benefit of the doubt from the officials. So this person who watched the fight, Boxing Forecast, wrote Katie Taylor with a headbutt TKO appears to break of opponent. She wipes blood on ref's shirt and then he calls the fight. So you can see a bit with the writing there. But anyways, we're going to take a look at this. So here it is.
And Rose Volante.
Let me get the sound off. All right. So look, here it is. Watch Katie Taylor's head. Bang. Look at that. You see, she immediately holds her nose like her nose is broken. The impact was she wipes her blood on, and the ref calls the fight. The ref calls the fight. So again, look at this. This woman is a victim of an intentional headbutt, and the referee calls the fight. Oh, bring it back. And you can't tell me this is accidental. Look at this. She didn't throw a punch. She didn't really clinch or whatever. She intentionally led with her head and landed a vicious shot to this woman. Come on now. And you're going to notice a trend. This woman is attempting to throw a punch at Katie Taylor. So, yes, her head is coming forward, but her head is coming forward because her head is coming in behind a punch. Katie's head is coming forward, but she's not throwing anything. And that's how Katie has most of her clashes. And that's how it's intentional because this woman is throwing a punch. Yeah, her head is coming forward. Her body's coming forward, but she's attempting to throw a punch. Whereas Katie Taylor is attempting to do nothing but somehow coming straight forward with her head. Take a look at it again. Boom. And instantly, you see the blood and you see the reaction, the damage that headbutt caused. And look at her. And look at the ref. He calls the fight. He stops the fight. Here's another angle of it. Bang. You see that? And the ref is looking at it. Look at her. What people don't understand is the type of pain you get from a punch versus a headbutt isn't fair. When you sign up for a boxing match, you consent to be punched by your opponent. You don't consent to being headbutt. And you see the type of damage that headbutts cause, especially when you get the momentum, because she goes from a slip to launching in with her head. The type of damage that caused. Look at the instant reaction from her opponent. Boom. Look at that. Her instant reaction. You don't normally see people react that way from a punch. And that's why the headbutts are even more damaging than the punch, because they cause more damage. They inflict more harm. Like your knuckles are wrapped up. The head is just raw bone to bone contact. I'm going to try to get you the audio so you can hear. Now, remember, people want to talk about promotional companies, right? The promotional company does pick the commentators. So this is a DAZN fight. Katie Taylor signed with Eddie Hearn Matchroom. Of course, the first thing they're going to do is say that was accidental.
Don't remind me. To see her wince like that, that's normal when you have someone's head hitting you on the bridge of the nose, and that's what she's complaining about here. She was outboxed.
Okay. You hear them? They're going to say, oh, she was outboxed. And they were saying it was an accidental head, but I don't want to use too much of their audio because if the DAZN claims copyright to this video, then they're going to try to take it down. So the point is, you can see there It was an intentional headbutt, and you can see that the referee stopped the fight immediately after that. Now, let's say hypothetically it was an accidental headbutt. If you genuinely believe that, why did the ref stop the fight on the woman? Why didn't he give her 4 or 5 minutes to recover after that vicious shot? Why? How? It's against the rules for a fighter to get a TKO off a headbutt. You know this. If a fight is stopped because of a headbutt, you got to go to the scorecards. So if he decided to stop that fight because of that headbutt, they needed to go to the scorecards after 4 rounds. Before 4 rounds, it's a no contest. So how is it that Katie Taylor gets a TKO victory off of a headbutt? You see? But wait, there's more. So we're going to take a deeper dive into this. Katie Taylor fought Chantel Cameron, right? Now, this video we're about to watch is from Power of Carnivore. You can subscribe to Power of Carnivore. In fact, I'm going to subscribe to Power of Carnivore right now. Yep, and you can watch more videos that he put out on this. But one of the first things you're about to see right now is Katie Taylor gets dropped by Chantel Cameron. Actually, let me leave this right now. And the referee calls it a slip. Just watch right here. I'm going to take a look. Watch.
Last night was a brilliant fight against Chantel Cameron and Katie Taylor. But was Chantel Cameron robbed? For me, 100% clean knockdown.
Switching up on her now. Cameron's going on the back foot. Oh, knockdown! Tremendous. Referee decides it's not a knockdown. She was off balance, but that was a knockdown, Mike. She was off balance, slightly pulling out. That was a genuine knockdown.
I've never seen such a cleaner knockdown. Their feet didn't touch. What, was the referee blind? If you look, the feet are about 2 inches apart. It was 100% a clean knockdown.
We all can see it on the TV monitors that there was no tangle of legs. There was no slip. I don't know what the referee thought there might have been. That's a knockdown to Chantel. It's a knockdown. No.
But if it was scored a knockdown, would Chantel have won the fight? With the knockdown alone, I think maybe not. But what about the headbutt? The headbutt.
All right. So this is one thing. Here's this thing that you notice with the Katie Taylor supporters, and also when you call out these things, they'll say, "Oh, the knockdown is irrelevant because the headbutt." I mean, well, not the headbutt. They'll say knockdown's irrelevant because she wasn't going to win on the scorecards anyway. Chantel wasn't going to win on the scorecards anyway. But it changes the flow of the fight. If you call that a knockdown, now Cameron is clearly up, so it creates urgency in that moment within Katie Taylor. It also gives Chantel Cameron the knowledge that, okay, I'm up now, and it impacts the way that she can fight. So in the moment when you make a mistake and you don't correctly identify a knockdown, there is a switch there. It's a swing in momentum because Katie knows she got knocked down, and she knows that they called it a slip. They're fighting in Dublin. They're basically fighting in Katie Taylor's house. Chantel Cameron was going into that fight feeling like, I'm not going to get a fair shake anyway. So she scores a knockdown and they call it a slip. There's something happening in the minds there. So now when they go to the corners, Chantel Cameron's thinking the fix is in, and Katie Taylor's thinking like, yeah, the refs are on my side again. The refs, the judges, everyone. So she's feeling good about her position in the fight. But you can't tell me that wasn't a knockdown. They're about to get into the headbutts in a second, and then I'm going to give you the perspective that people overlook when it comes to these headbutts. But we just saw Katie Taylor got a TKO victory off of a headbutt, which is illegal. And we just saw Katie Taylor got dropped in the fight with Chantel Cameron. And, of course, the referee ruled it a slip. Incorrectly ruled it a slip, may I add. So now we're going to get into the headbutts now. Let's watch this again.
But what about the headbutt? The headbutt, if we look at it, Katie Taylor is on the ropes and she comes bouncing in with her head. No fists up, no fists trying to punch. It was a straight whoosh with the head. From the ropes, bam.
Said she had to be busy.
Do you see that? And I want you to see how this, you cannot find this on the internet anywhere. You cannot find this on the internet anywhere. Trust me, I tried. You need to see, she leans from the ropes, gets leverage off the ropes, and comes straight first with her head. Now look at what you saw. You can't tell me this is defensive. You can't tell me this is intentional. Watch.
It was a straight whoosh with the head. From the ropes, bam.
Said she had to be busy.
Look at that.
With the head. From the ropes, bam.
Let me see if I can slow this down a little bit, because like people need to see this. How do you slow this down? Here we go. Let's go like this. Now let's make this big. All right, here we go. Now, she launched on the rope and comes jumping in with her head. Come on now. Come on now. And you know it was so difficult to find that clip? It was so difficult to find that clip on the internet. It's like they scrubbed the internet of it. If you look at the highlights when the Zone, the Zone makes their highlights that they place on social media of every fight, they left that headbutt out of their highlights. It impacted the fight. It changed the trajectory of the fight, but they left that headbutt out of the fight. And here's why that headbutt is very important. Because from that point, there's a huge gash on Chantel Cameron's forehead. So now there's blood pouring in. So she has to battle the element. She has to battle the fact that blood is pouring inside of her eyes. She has to change the way she's fighting, because now Katie Taylor's targeting that cut to make it bigger, to get the fight stopped, right? Or to just make her uncomfortable. Now, here's the thing. We know that these fights should be stopped when they're really bad cuts, to prevent the cuts from getting even worse. And if the fight gets stopped, they got to go to the scorecards. But to protect Katie, they're not going to the scorecards, because they know at the moment of those headbutts, she's possibly down. So they forced Chantel to keep fighting the same way they forced Amanda Serrano to keep fighting. And as you saw the last time, if they do stop the fight as a result of a Katie Taylor headbutt, they give her a TKO instead of doing what they're supposed to do, which is go to the scorecards. She gets knocked down in the fight. They call it a slip. So Chantel Cameron has this cut now. And from that point forward, Katie Taylor starts to improve. She starts to fight better. She starts to be more effective. And people attribute it to her greatness, but not to the fact that she's benefiting from an illegal foul, that she literally projected herself from off the ropes. Doom! The force of that. The force generated from the ropes smashed the head on Katie Taylor. No punch can do that type of impact, that type of damage, especially with the gloves on. You can cut someone, yes, but not like the way Katie Taylor is cutting her opponents with her head. And from that point forward, the damage done by that head, yes, Chantel Cameron is worried about the cut. She's more defensive. She's not focused on her offense as much as she was before, just like Amanda Serrano. So now Katie Taylor's doing better. But Katie Taylor continues to use her head. She just doesn't stop there. She continues to use her head, and she continues to hold. All right, let's continue with this video.
It's the cleanest headbutt you could ever see. Why is everyone ignoring that it was a clean headbutt, an obvious headbutt? Chantel Cameron had multiple interviews, and I'll play one in this video, multiple interviews where she was complaining basically about the first fight, the amount of headbutts from Katie Taylor, and how she was going to try to avoid them more.
She comes in with her head a lot, and I was there, so I was letting her catch me with the head a lot. We've got to make sure I don't let it happen this time, because obviously I don't want to be coming out marked up again with lumps all over my head from headbutts.
She'd warned about the headbutts, but the referee took no notice. Had he heard Chantel Cameron saying about the headbutts that she was worried? Why is he ignoring all these headbutts? Because it wasn't just one. wasn't just the one. It was throughout the fight. AD Atalova also said the same. I'll play that on this.
There were a number of headbutts, and
So here's the thing about AD, right? Because AD is, you're going to see the hypocrisy in AD right now, because he's calling out what happened with Chantel Cameron. The same thing that happened with Chantel Cameron happened with Amanda Serrano, but now he switched up and he's kind of like calling the commentary biased. But what changed? AD now works for DAZN. Now, at the time of this fight, I'm not sure how much he worked for DAZN or if he was signed to DAZN. But what I do know is he's definitely a big part of DAZN now. You see him at Riyadh season. You see him doing all those things. So you know for a fact that he is signed and he is a part of DAZN's team. So now he's not keeping the same energy for the Amanda Serrano fight. But if you watch what he said here about the Chantel Cameron fight, he kept it real. He kept it real. And the Chantel Cameron fight and the Amanda Serrano fight was the same exact thing in terms of Katie Taylor's tactics. So I don't know how he saw it differently. The only thing different was Amanda Serrano's from America and Chantel Cameron's from the UK. But we'll keep watching this.
and head clashes in that fight. I say head butts because Katie did go in with her head quite a lot.
AD is saying that in his view, even with the knockdown, Katie Taylor won. Well, I'm going to disagree with him because about the headbutt. She didn't need to be doing the stupid headbutts. She didn't need to keep bouncing off the ropes all the time, every time she was on the ropes, and making sure she hit her with her head. I had Chantel Cameron winning 3 rounds. One of them rounds was the first round with a knockdown, which should have been 8-10 to Chantel Cameron, and it was marked as 9-10. Then in the third, you had the headbutt, which should have been an 8-10 to Cameron. Instead, it was a 10-9. That works out as a win for Chantel Cameron. And if it's not a win, it's 100% a draw. So, in my view, she was robbed. It was robbery. And not just that. There's a lot more to this about the fight, which I noticed. Why did they have to go back to Dublin? Why did Chantel Cameron's team agree to this? It seems like it's all about the money.
Again, we already know she had to go back to Dublin. Katie Taylor had to get a second bite at the apple in her hometown so that she can write this historic story, because of course they have this message that they're pushing with Katie Taylor. They have this image that they want to portray. It's the same reason why, after I showed you in the last video that I made about this issue, they're pushing it like the public doesn't know what they really saw, but the public is on to Katie Taylor. And this is what Katie Taylor supporters and people are mad about. People aren't buying into the story because they know and they've seen. If you watch Katie Taylor fights, you've seen a reoccurring theme. Her leading with the head, her headbutting her opponents in the biggest fight. The most damage that Katie Taylor does to her opponents in her biggest fights are not done with her fists. It's done with her head. And that's a fact.
Blinded.
98-92 to Katie is wild. That's a wild scorecard.
The one who scored the draw was the closest. But even the other one, if the headbutt had been counted as illegal, which it should have been, and the knockdown, Chantel Cameron should have won. Too many times she was doing.
And that's the problem. Like he pointed out, one judge had it a draw, one judge had it 2 wide. Are you surprised one judge had it 2 wide in Dublin for Katie Taylor? Absolutely not. One judge had it a draw. So that judge who had it a draw, if you call that knockdown the way you're supposed to call that knockdown, then Chantel Cameron's up on that judge's scorecard. Then the other judge, like he said, if you count the knockdown and you take a point from Katie Taylor for the blatant, obvious headbutt, Chantel Cameron wins. And this is what the public is beginning to notice on Katie Taylor. Is not only does Katie Taylor get away with headbutts, excessive holding, and roughhousing, but she gets dropped, they wipe it clean. No, it was a slip. she headbutts someone and the person is clearly suffering the effects in the immediate pain and discomfort from that headbutt, and the referee stops the fight and awards Katie Taylor a TKO. So how can you argue that she's not being protected? How can you argue that everyone is just hating? Like, you're telling us, don't believe your eyes. You're telling us that our eyes are lying, and then you're telling us to throw out logic in everything we know about the sport. You're telling us we're wrong. We're telling us that we didn't see Katie get knocked down. You're telling us that we didn't see Katie win a fight by TKO off a headbutt. You're telling us that we didn't see Katie launch off that rope, headbutt Chantel Cameron, and then be allowed to reap the benefits of it. Cameron didn't get time to recover. Cameron didn't get the opportunity to get the fight stopped because that was a very damaging cut. Same with Amanda Serrano. They didn't get none of that. Immediately, they were forced to fight and allow Katie Taylor to reap the benefits of her intentional fouls. Meanwhile, when people land clean punches on Katie, that hurts Katie. The referee says, "Nah, sorry, bruh. You cannot benefit from that. We can't allow you to follow up on that." So now we're going to take a look at the headbutt that Katie Taylor did to Amanda Serrano. It's in slow-mo. So it's as big as it can get. Okay, I guess so. It's in slow-mo. Let me see if I can make it bigger here. I do not have that option. All right, so watch now. You're going to see the similarity. Amanda Serrano's trying to throw a punch, and Katie's just coming in with her head. And it's in slow-mo, so you'll see. Here it is. Ooh.
It's another headbutt.
Now, here's the other thing. Not only does Katie Taylor headbutt Amanda Serrano, and you can't tell me she doesn't know that she just connected with her head, but as soon as Katie Taylor connects with her head, then she comes with a punch over the top as well. So here it is. Look at it. She's looking at where she's going. Boom. Headbutt. And now here comes the overhand.
It's another headbutt.
Boom. So she just landed a two-piece. She lands a two-piece. Blocker. And here comes
another headbutt.
Blocker. Now, again, people are going to say, oh, well, Amanda Serrano was coming in with her head, just like her opponent in the first video, to throw a punch. You can see Katie threw a punch here. She's trying to get out the way, and then she's trying to come back with a counter. And while her head's coming, you can see Katie's eyes on the prize, connects right at the sensitive spot on the eye too. Like it's a very accurate headbutt. Now watch. Amanda's coming forward trying to throw a hook, and Katie's watching. Ooh. And Katie knows she landed now. So now she's going to come over the top with that punch. I mean, come on, man. And they're saying that the broadcast team was biased, but they even gave her the benefit of the doubt and said that it was accidental. They said it was accidental, although we know better. So, again, how can you tell people that they didn't see what they saw? You run the history of all this. And again, at least why not give the person time to recover? And something that they do in boxing that I don't like is if you know that someone suffered a cut as a result of a headbutt, even if you're going to rule it as accidental, why not allow the cut man or the cut woman time to work on it before you send the fighter back into the ring to fight? Why allow the person who committed the foul to immediately benefit from a foul by forcing the fighter to continue immediately? No, as soon as a headbutt happens, you should stop it. You should send the person who received the cut from the headbutt to get it worked on. You should go to the monitors to have someone review it to see if it is intentional. And there should be certain criteria that if we see this, we're automatically ruining intentional. If you're coming forward without throwing a punch, We're ruling it as intentional. Even if you're coming forward to clinch, because clinching isn't a part of boxing. We need to get headbutts out of boxing. So it should be, if your heads clash because both of you attempted to throw a punch, accidental. Any other reason, you're lunging in to hold, you're lunging in to try to avoid a punch defensively, but you're being irresponsible with your head, point deduction. Point deduction. That's the way it needs to be in the sport of boxing. So now we're going to take a look at when Katie Taylor actually got the point deducted from using her head. Now, actually, before I show you this, I want to show you what some people were saying in the comment section. This is where boxing knowledge comes in, right? So some people were saying she was spamming headbutts, plural. Katie was spamming with it. And so this one said, should the ref have taken a point? But the ref took away a point when it wasn't a headbutt, LOL. Bro, she got a big head. Well-deserved. She's a big cheater. And so this person right here, right? This person says, what headbutt? Her head is on her shoulder and she is standing back up before Amanda can pull on the back of her neck. There's no headbutt. Wrong, buddy. You posted this. Now, actually, I'm going to make this big real quick. The ref knew. Legendary. Mute this. The ref knew that Katie was using her head and pushing on the cut to widen the cut, to make the cut bigger so that it would bleed more, to make Amanda Serrano more uncomfortable. So although you're not seeing a definitive headbutt, you're seeing a strategy that people use, rubbing their head on the cut, trying to make the cut bigger. That's why at the end of the fight, you saw how wide Amanda's cut was. So take a look, right? Look at Katie. She got hit with a jab. She lunges forward, right? Watch, here it is. Look at her head. She brings her head up into the cut. And now she's walking forward, using her head. See, moving her head to make the cut uncomfortable. You see how she's pushing her head into the cut. And you see Amanda. She's doing that to put pressure, to widen the cut, to make it bleed more. And that's when the ref said, you're doing it on purpose. The ref knew. The ref standing right there. Look at how close the ref is, by the way. Look at his eyes. He sees this. All right, so this is like, okay, that was good. Why did she need to come up like this? And he sees her head pressing against the cut. He sees what she's doing. Look at, he sees it. He's right there. You don't have a better view than that. He has the best view in the house. He saw what she did. And that's why he said, enough's enough. I'm taking a point from you. And then he also told her, you got to find a different way to fight. He told her that. You know, and a lot of people got upset with that, but he's been watching it. And I think he just, I don't know, he let her get away with it most of the night, but I just think his conscience said, like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. There are other fighters who complained about Katie Taylor using her head. Delphine, Pursoon, so many other people. But for the sake and the time of this video, I just want to show you enough. That people can tell you whatever. They can say you're making excuses. Everything that I just showed you was a fact. Irrefutable evidence. There's nothing that was fabricated. It's all right there. So they're going to tell you you're making excuses. But really, they're the ones making excuses. Because they want to push this story on you that Katie Taylor is the GOAT. Now, I want us to come out and saying when Katie Taylor originally came onto the scene, I thought she was a breath of fresh air. I still do. Katie Taylor inspired many female boxers. And the reality is no one is saying Katie Taylor isn't a talented boxer. But the reality is, and people are calling it out, she's been the beneficiary of a lot of questionable decisions. And she always gets the benefit of the doubt in every situation in the ring. Knockdowns that are real, they wipe them off. She headbutts someone clean, no punch landed, gets a TKO off of it. I've never seen anything like it. Who else could get a TKO like that off a flat out, obvious, blatant headbutt? You can't tell me the ref thought a punch landed. You know the rule, you got to go to the scorecards if a fight is stopped by an accidental headbutt. Although that headbutt didn't really look very accidental, but if you believe it, you got to go to the scorecard. You don't award a TKO to the fighter that threw the headbutt. And what message are you sending to that fighter if they're landing a headbutt and you're giving them TKO victories? That's why you saw the combo headbutt, overhand right. She probably practiced it in the gym. They're like, boop, boop, with the mitts. But in all seriousness, Katie Taylor, to me, I can't call her the GOAT. There's been too many instances of this in her biggest fights. Like her win with Chantel Cameron, I can't say it was because she was the better boxer. Why? Because there was a devastating headbutt that slowed Chantel Cameron down that she was allowed to capitalize off of. When it was just skill for skill, Chantel Cameron dominated her. The same with Amanda Serrano. When they were fighting on the up and up, skill for skill, Amanda Serrano won. It wasn't until those headbutts and then them dealing with the damage of the headbutt, the blood, trying to protect the cut, plus trying to be offensive, that Katie Taylor was able to utilize her skills and make the fight close. But when they were fighting skill for skill, Katie Taylor was losing. And of course, Chantel Cameron getting knockdowns, taken away, all types of stuff. I just got to be honest. Like, I'm not one who thinks Katie Taylor is the GOAT. I think Katie Taylor has been the beneficiary of a lot of questionable decisions by referees. And I think she's also been a beneficiary of a lot of questionable decisions by judges. I think Katie Taylor is one of the most protected fighters that I've seen in the history of boxing. And I'm sorry if that offends people, but I just showed you the evidence why. So it's not like I'm saying this out of hatred or I'm saying this because whatever. I'm saying this based on the factual evidence. And I'm not the only one. You saw other people who pointed it out. You saw the guy who currently works for the Zone pointing it out. You've seen everyone point it out when they're having a moment of being objective. If they're not being paid by promotional companies or if they don't have to worry about backlash. See, me, I just speak what I saw. What I saw was Katie Taylor benefiting from illegal tactics and fouls against someone who was in the ring really trying to box. And to me, you can't win a fight that way. And quite frankly, I can't respect you as a fighter that way. I think Katie Taylor is a dirty fighter, and I just showed you why. Now, you can say I'm making excuses, but I just showed proof and irrefutable facts. So at this point, if you're still defending it, the only person making excuses is you. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. It's Caden. I'm out. Peace.